Welcome to August, everybody, and thank you for joining me for today's devotion from the book of Proverbs, chapter 29. There are so many proverbs or verses in this chapter we could talk about. I seem to say that in each chapter, don't I? But I love the book of Proverbs. He talks in here, there's verses that talk about the dangers of having a temper, of getting mad easily, the problem of being wicked, being ruled by wicked people, the problem of pride and the damage that it does. But a few of the other proverbs or verses that spoke to me are these. A couple of verses that deal with integrity, with justice, and so on. Look at verse 4, where he says, "The king gives stability to the land by justice, but a man who takes bribes overthrows it." In other words, when people have confidence in the judicial system and the political leadership and institutions and so on, the land is stable. But when political institutions, when the judicial system and other institutions are corrupt, and people with money can bribe their way to the top or to freedom or whatever, then that creates an unsecure, unsettled culture, nation. It leads to problems, to revolt, if you will. And so integrity matters and justice matters. If our country is going to be healthy and survive, we cannot forget integrity and justice in our leaders and our institutions. The second thing that some of the verses talk to me about are a concern for and care for the poor, if you will. Look at verse 7. Verse 7. By the way, on the first one about justice and integrity, I forgot to read verse 12, but that's another verse that talks about that. Concern and care for the poor, verses 7 and 14. Verse 7, he says, "The righteous is concerned for the rights of the poor." Now stop there for a moment. He says, a righteous person is concerned about the rights of the poor, not allowing the powerful or the wealthy to take advantage of the poor. The wicked doesn't care about those things, but the righteous do. Verse 14, if a king judges the poor with truth, his throne will be established forever. You know, I love living in a republic, which is what we live in, not a true democracy, but a republic, representative government here in America. But we have to be careful that the judicial system and the justice system doesn't lose its integrity because the rich and powerful can afford more and better lawyers than the poor. That's a real danger for a culture. Real danger. Another area, the third and final one that really spoke to me is a verse that talks about the damage that people who are constantly mocking, constantly ridiculing, constantly criticizing, who are scornful and filled with derision all the time, how they tear a culture, tear a society apart. Look at verse 8. He says, "Scorners set a city aflame, but wise men turn away anger." Scorners set a city aflame. People who are scornful, who mock and scorn and ridicule and just all the time, all they do is create division and fire, conflict, and they tear a culture apart. Don't be that kind of person. Be the kind of person that can make a place healthy. See, one of the beautiful things about the Proverbs is how they just make us think about things otherwise we would not think about. And that's a good thing. They're very practical. Some people I know read one of the Proverbs, a chapter in Proverbs every day. Others I know read one of the chapters in Proverbs every week. Several years ago, I actually prayed my way through the book of Proverbs. just taking it verse by verse and praying over what that verse said. So, very practical book that can be a real blessing to us and make us just think about things that are practical and important that we wouldn't think about on our own. So, I hope you're enjoying this weekly reading of one of the chapters of the Proverbs. I know I sure have. All right, I'll see you Sunday morning as we worship Jesus, Sunday night as we have our annual business meeting, and then Monday as we continue our journey through God's Word. God bless you, everybody. Have a great weekend.